What is up, YouTube? Johnny B here again today. We're going to be bringing you another video. This one's a little bit different because we're going to be repairing a car that's been hit in an accident on the back. It's very difficult to repair this car. The guy took this car to multiple shops and everybody said no pretty much because it's quite the job. So we told them we could fix it. We're going to have to use a whole back end of another car and weld it onto this one. It's a little bit different, but luckily the frame is going to be staying. The frame didn't get damaged, so the main structure point where the wheels are going to be sitting on is all going to be factory still, apart from the physical part that you can see, which is just like the body panels and stuff like that. So I wanted to bring you guys with me to see this process. I haven't really showed something this crazy, I guess. Maybe I have. I think I've done way crazier stuff, kind of like when I did the Evo last time, where we chopped the whole front end and welded on another one. So this car got a little bit damaged in the front here, a little bit in the back. Essentially what happened was he was driving down the freeway. This tire right here, which is basically the driver's side rear, blew out. And when it blew out, he basically lost control. I think he must have spun it. Somehow he hit the median of the freeway with the rear end, completely smashed in, and he ended up facing backwards onto oncoming traffic. Luckily, this is really late at night, so there wasn't much traffic. Everything was able to be resolved before anything else happened. He basically didn't hit anybody either because there was no one there, so there wasn't really a ticket violation for that. Biggest issue though is that the car had lapsed insurance during this period, so insurance isn't going to cover it. The car pretty much would have been a little bit better if you just kind of like parted out, got rid of it, and got another one, but he's got so much sentimental value in this car. He did a lot of the work that it has, and he learned a lot from his mistakes and just working on cars, being his first car that he modified, and he just wants it. It's got that sentimental value, so we're gonna go ahead and fix it for him, and we're gonna start by making it a roller. Let me show you guys how it looks like in the back. So here we are. You can see this side got pretty smashed up. The wheel this is the wheel that blew up, so it's over there. The lower control arm and the trailing arm are busted, so I got a nice set here that we're gonna swap out, get this thing to roll again. Obviously this whole quarter panel got damaged. You see it's like bent all the way up to there. Door still closes and opens perfectly fine. This rear glass didn't even break, so we didn't really mess with that big of the structure. You can see that this frame rail is all the way complete, all the way to the crash bar. This part of the trunk looks decent, and then this is where we start seeing a lot of damage. Looks like this was like the main hit, to where this part of the car is literally flattened. Look at that. You can tell that hit straight wall, right? I had to hammer it back. This was actually touching the tire. Same thing on this side. Quarter panel kinked here, and it's really close to the door, but the door still opens and closes. Same thing, look, both windows are perfectly untouched. So essentially all this has to go. We're gonna basically chop the whole end of the car off, except for like where the rear window is at. And for the frame, this side of the frame got a little bit more damaged, but the reason I say we're not gonna worry about it is because if you look here, this is the subframe. That's the mounting point of the subframe to the frame, and you see that kink right there? It's about like 2-3 inches away from the subframe, so the subframe is all intact. Basically the driving area, the driving aspect of the car is untouched. So all we have to do is make this look pretty. Got to chop the frame there, add the little frame extension piece that kind of bolts onto the crash bar, and we'll be good. And obviously getting the whole rear end off of another car, everything's going to be nice and lined up, square. All the factory spot welds are going to be intact. Everything's just going to be pretty much original. Plan of attack, I think, is going to be to remove the quarter panel glass, because they are spot welded under here, and probably do like a cut here, spot welded under here, and probably spot welded in here if I really want to make it as legit as possible, and then another cut here, and then something with the glass, kind of be underneath the glass where it'll be cut. I don't know if I want to remove the rear glass. Might be a bit of extra work, and the customer, I don't know if he really wants to pay for all that added work and labor. Hey, check that out, the initial D sticker. So pretty much his goal is we just want to make this look pretty. The car that I'm going to be swapping the rear end from is already cut for wide body, so we're going to have to wide body this car at the same time, paint match it, and basically build the car at the same time that we're fixing the crash repair. I already got a new exhaust. The TRD exhaust unfortunately got destroyed. So it's gonna be, I think it's gonna be a fun project. Nobody wanted to tackle this, and I think we can do it. So I drove the car into the shop, got it on the lift. Luckily it drives just fine, even with it all smashed up like this. So now comes the fun part where I get to remove all this. I think it's gonna look cool with all this missing as well. So now that we have this cut out, sort of where we want it, I wanted to make it a quick removal, so I just kind of outlined the cut. This is going to be removed much more professionally. We're going to go ahead and take out this quarter glass. There's spot welds under here that are going to be removed, as well as spot welds here inside the where you open the door, where the seal goes. And probably going to do, I'm guessing, like a cut from here to here, and like a cut from here to here, somewhere around there. So that way the only places that are going to be bodyworked are going to be the smallest possible that we're going to be bodyworking, and the rest of it is all going to be welded underneath the glass here and underneath the seal here. And one of the reasons or ways we do it is because there's actually spot welds here. So we need to remove the spot welds, which, as you can see, I already removed, which loosen this panel, and this whole piece comes out. So when we cut here, all the damaged section would be removed, be replaced here. There'll be no welding and no bodywork here. So literally all we have to do is spot weld the new quarter back on with no bodywork in any of this, huge area, apart from that cut there and that cut there, making, this job essentially be that much easier. I could remove it all the way that way, but the problem is it's a whole piece that goes up to the fender and comes back up. So it'd be a ton of work to have to remove all of it and hide it in other sections. So it just makes it a lot easier to just replace the damaged part, do a little bit of body work there. That's what most body shops do. And obviously the back is missing. And the same thing on this side. That's what we got to do. This side I didn't cut as much just because this looked good. And I was debating whether to just body work here, but I haven't decided yet what would be the best course of action. But I think to eliminate any sort of body work on the main section, it would be better to just do it over here. So I think that's what I'm going to do. Remove this window, do the same thing on this side, same small slits. That way there's not like weld and bondo work here, or body work. And then this part's gonna get cut out anyways because we're gonna go wide body on the car. So I think that'll be interesting. I'm not gonna remove the rear glass. I thought about it, but it's gonna make the job that much harder if I do remove that and then have to do that, because you can see there's a lot of structure under here that I don't really want to mess with. And it'd be a good idea to replace this, but like I said, it's just all structured. So theoretically, if I wanted to do this, I would have to chop this all off, which would be quite the pain. So we'll just do it this way. A little bit of body work there. Obviously, I think I'm gonna have to body work along here and that way, but that shouldn't be too bad. And then just have the same quarter panel replacement on here. So the way I'm doing this is I'm removing this rubber trim. You have to remove this piece here just to be able to remove the rubber trim to where we want it. I guess we don't have to remove it completely. And this a little bit, basically so we could remove these spot welds here. And the way I'm doing it is with the drill. This drill has a special bit in front of it, as you guys can see, that is designed to remove spot welds, and it makes the job a lot easier. Let's see if I can do this nicely first try. There it goes. It likes to walk sometimes. There we go. And that's how you want it. You just want it to be cutting through the first layer. And now we just got to do all that to all those spot welds. Primero. Vamos a poner el carro así, atrás. So I finally have the quarter panel pieces on. As you can see, I went ahead and did the same exact cut to the donor car. It was a black car, obviously. And we got the cuts all done, got it mounted. So the way that I'm able to make sure that it's like exactly on point, as you can see, is the striker for the door and the sensor here for if the door's open or closed. You kind of able to line that up. And then with the old spot welds, you can kind of see how it sits flush. And then it mounts really flushly with the cut that we did there. So if you don't know how I did that, I basically cut the black piece bigger, kind of see where it was before, and then I go ahead and cut both of them at the same time so you get the perfect cut. Same thing up here, and same thing in this area So after I got those cuts done, was able to sit that properly. I only did the cut here. I didn't do the cut here because I knew this cut would shift later, so didn't mess with that. The only reason I'm doing this cut here and not just all the way straight through is because removing this back glass would have been a lot, very expensive. There was a chance that we could break it, and I don't want to take that chance. So I figured I'll weld it in between both this angle here, this body line, and the edge here, and that way that'd be like the easiest part to like smooth out and body work and make that look really, really good. The best idea for fixing the whole rear end of this car was to just replace the whole rear end. So as you can see, everything is how it should be from factory. You have all of the factory spot welds and everything, and all these are like individual panels, so it'd be a really big job trying to piece it all together and make sure that everything fit, when I could just, look at that, it even has the crash bar on it still. So cutting it at the frame rail was the easiest job, and kind of making like a little bit of a transition there from the frame rail to the new frame rail. So the same thing on this side, we got the cuts, everything lines up really nicely. You can see down there as well. And look at this, it looks like nothing ever happened here in the gas cap area. I just have to overlap this rubber seal and then put the thing that locks it in place, and the gas cap is gonna be like nothing happened. So I gotta put the little clicker that goes on there. And then this car was already cut for wide body, so we are going to be wide bodying this car with the kit that's up there, which is my old FRS kit. And we're gonna slice this up again, weld it all up. You can see this car had a wide body kit on it before as well, so all that's gonna get resolved, and then we're gonna do the fronts later on. But the main focus is to get this done and get this paint matched before we start putting it all together. So before I even put this little window glass, it's gonna get paint matched. So now after a 10-hour day, this is the next day. Everything's welded up how it should be. The rocker panel's welded up. We got the spot welds here welded up here as well. Did like straight line bead from here as well. Obviously I grinded down the welds because you don't need to see welds. That's gonna get body work so that it looks seamless. We got the wide body set up here. I'm also gonna body work that at the same time, so that way when we go to paint, all this whole panel will look like nothing ever happened. Here as well, this part was also welded and I grinded it down, and that's gonna get body worked as well, so it'll look like smooth and seamless. Same thing for the inside. The frame rails are welded. This section right here is all tack welded. Same thing with this inner fender liner. It's all tack welded into place with extra sheets of metal. It's all gonna get seam sealed in here. The frame rails got a full bead all the way across. I can show you guys down here. It's full bead where the cuts were on both frame rails. So that's super solid there. I used MIG for that. And for where the thin sheet metal was at, I used the TIG welder. Learning, obviously. Here's another spot where it got welded, grinded down. That's gonna get body worked as well. Same thing here. And everything's looking good. You can see the frame rails welded fully right there. Wide body section is cut up over here, ready to get body worked, as well as this top section here. And same thing with the rocker panel on this side. So this whole rear end is pretty much welded on already. It's super solid. If I go to move this, I literally move the whole car. So everything's on there how it should be. You could literally put the car back together, and if you didn't want to paint, like, everything would just work. But now the next step is to body work it. I'm gonna go ahead and get the panels I need. I'm probably gonna finish up the wide body in the front that needs to get cut to get the front end prepped for the wide body, which is up on the wall over there. So I gotta prep the wide body as well. Just a lot of prepping to do, but at least this section is all welded on and transferred on from the other car, and now it is a part of this car. So as you guys know, I've been body working the car, making sure all the parts where we welded are all nice and flat and smooth. Same thing with the wide body sections that were cut. Also, where I welded inside here, I went ahead and seam sealed, make it look kind of like it was factory. There was already seam sealer here before from the factory, so I was just adding where there was already. That's why I did the cut there, to make it look more natural. Obviously there's not one there, but I kind of went with
the little curve there to kind of make it blend in. And once I paint, I'm going to paint inside the trunk as well, so it'll be silver just like that. And then the joining sections here are going to get body worked as well, so that way you can't even tell that they were literally welded right there. So same thing with the other side. I've been doing all the body work. Got a lot of it done to where it's nice and smooth. You can see the body line, but there were some sections that were like low, so I went ahead and filled those up. And on top of that, I went ahead and fixed the suspension in the rear. There was some bent stuff that I unbended, and that's looking perfect now. So here in the front, I went ahead and replaced the lower control arm. As you can see, it's nice and brand new. That one was bent, so that had to be replaced. And I went ahead and removed the bumper because we're gonna need to, it just wasn't on right, and I'm gonna need to cut all this up to install the wide body kit in the front section. So I think that's what I'm gonna do right now, is I'm gonna remove the inner fender liner that I need to remove, chop this up, and then mock up my old body kit that's up there. So, getting progress done.
So now the next step after getting all that done is to prep this, finish the body work on the quarter. We're gonna have to paint inside here and blending it. So I'm gonna have to paint this whole section here and the whole section down here, right where the body line ends, right there where the fender starts. Because when I paint pieces, I like to paint the complete piece. So this is all gonna look good. And to be able to access this, as you can see, I have removed the door. I have the door here. I'm gonna do the same thing to the other side. And all we have to do is mask the interior, obviously, from what we're gonna be painting. We don't wanna get any overspray or paint inside. So that's all gonna get masked up before we go ahead and start spraying this. But I do wanna finish the bodywork, do a little bit more smoothing, and then get primer on all these parts. So that way this will look like nothing ever happened before. So, yeah. So we're getting some of the body work done. You see we primered the sections that were cut and welded after I body worked them. Same thing with this area here, and did the other side as well. With the doors off, it makes it so much easier. So now, gotta sand all this down, get it all prepped for paint, and then mask off all the inside pieces. The trunk I'm not really gonna mask off since I'm gonna paint in here anyways, and probably paint some on the outside here. So we'll probably leave that how it is. I might leave the black here and just kind of focus on the silver in those areas and the parts that are visible. Underneath my car, I remember I painted all this section black anyway, so it'll look good regardless. So it looks like I need to body work a little bit more in this area. But other than that, the main sections that were welded and body worked together are looking really good. That body line's looking really good. And same thing with the body lines over here. And I just gotta smooth them out some more. So I did add quite a bit of layers last night so I could let them dry overnight, and now we can go ahead and sand some more. Added some guide coat to the primer so we can try to smooth it out and see how it looks like under here. So a lot of the times it's impossible to see what you're sanding, especially when it's all the same color. But if you put a little bit of guide coat, it's just basically like black spray paint that dries fast and is easily sandable. It'll kind of give you an idea of how it's gonna come out, you know, when after it's painted, just so you can actually see low spots in the job that you did. You can see there's some black spots there. We're gonna try to take those out. Obviously I'm using a sanding block to make sure it's straight as possible. A lot of it is coming out. And with this, we know that we're getting the panel to be as smooth as possible. So I just gotta keep sanding till all this guide coat is out, and we make sure we don't have like little low spots like that. Now that the primer is all nice and smooth, getting the car pretty much prepped for paint. Now that we have the masking on, it's looking a lot more like, you know, we're getting a lot more progress done than when we removed the doors, just because there's a ton of sanding that goes into getting the bodywork done. So it was just literally, you know, adding the glaze, sanding it down, primering, guide coating, sanding again, and then primering. It's just kind of like a never-ending process until you know, or you feel it feels like really, really smooth, and you know that it's going to come out nice once it gets painted. So after all that long process, now comes the fun part, which is, I guess, taking your time, masking, make sure everything's going to look good. I put the tape on the inside of this lip here, so that way when I went and overlaid the plastic, it just kind of stuck to the tape and it's just there. So the whole edge of the car will also get painted just like it is from factory. I think that's going to look a lot nicer. Plus I did need to paint it here because it's black, so I wanted to make sure that I'm able to, you know, access that whole section of the inside and get all that painted so that there's not like any hard lines where the paint just ends. Masked off the fender. We got all this masked off. Parts that are not going to be needed to be painted. So it's looking really good. So now that we have it done on this side, I went ahead and cut it off the glass. The glass is going to get covered as well. We're going to leave this part open because I'm going to paint on this inside section here, which is a lot of the visible stuff. And then I'm going to add some silver paint on the inside of the trunk as well too, so we can blend in the two pieces. So when you open the trunk and you go to get your spare, you know, all that looks normal. Oh, and I wanted to show you guys inside the gas cap. Look at that. Masked off the actual gas cap, and we painted all inside here and on the back part of the gas cap. So that way you open that up, it looks like factory. It's all silver. Here it is. Now we got the clear coat on. Everything's nice and shiny. Look at that. It's looking amazing. So now we just gotta wait for this till tomorrow to dry. We can take all this off and we can start putting the car together. But I'm super excited how everything came out. Look at that. You can't even tell it was two different cars that got bonded together.
So I got the rear end put together, put some stock tail lights, got all the sensors underneath and all the wiring. I had to switch out the wiring for the trunk because this trunk has the backup camera and it has a little button to open the trunk. So it wasn't, the trunk was off of a base model and this is the limited, so it has all those little extra features that I had to swap over, but it's looking amazing. Like from what the car was when it came in to what it looks like now. Look at that. And even the gas cap is like closed up perfectly now. So I got the interior of the trunk all put together as well. Battery's dead. And we had the glass people come in and we'll go ahead and put these back in. That's why they have tape, because they're barely recently glued. And that was just one of the things that I had to remove to make sure that I just had to do spot welds under here and then weld this little section instead of having to weld like a weird thing. So there isn't any body work in this area. And I think now the next step is to put the strikers, put those door sensors on and get the doors back on the car. And it's gonna look more like a complete car. And I think it's coming along. It's coming along. Now we have to get the wide body ready. So we can go ahead and throw that on, get some wheels. I got some wheels over there. Just gotta set it like a pair just to replace the two rears. The fronts are gonna be the ones that were already on the car before that. So, and then after the doors are on, then we can start kind of like cleaning up the interior a little bit. It's got a little bit of dust from all the sandings that we did and a bunch of tools and parts that need to go on. So I guess we'll get the doors on next. Ooh, that sounds really good. That was just something that I needed to do. Take these off before I paint, so it looks so good. Looks like how it was meant to be from the factory. Got all the trim installed, all the rubber that goes along these little plastics, all the trim that goes inside here, as well as all the rubber seal that goes over here. And then this piece, it's just like a metal piece that gets bolted on and lines up with the rear quarter glass, which also got installed. I had my auto glass guys come in and reinstall that. And now it's looking like a car again. The doors shut super nicely. Look at that. Awesome. Getting the body kit all ready. Did a little bit of body work, sanded it down, and now we have the first coat of paint. So everything's looking amazing. We're also doing some side skirts that are not part of the kit, but I modified to line up with the kit so it looks perfect. I'm excited. I used to have some quick releases here that I deleted, so now that's not going to be an issue. Same thing with here, there was some issues, and then on the back side, these tend to like catch on the tire and crack. Repaired that. I had a little issue here, just little issues all around. This is my old, my very first Rocket Bunny kit. It's been with me for more than 6 years now, and it did have a little bit of damage. I remember one time I did a little wall tap and I had like a crack right here, but all that's been repaired. It's all gonna be perfect now. It was actually repaired with fiberglass, so it's gonna be really, really strong. And yeah, so now next step is to clear coat this, let this dry, and then we can throw this on the BRZ, and I think it'll be done after that. We've pretty much done everything else, so I'm excited to get this car done and finally get it out of here. It's been here for like over 2 months now. It's just been a big project. So everything is clear coated. Did 3 coats of clear, so it's nice and thick and very, very glossy. Everything's looking amazing. Really came out really great. I'm excited. There wasn't any weird reactions. Everything was acting as it should.
Side skirts are painted, the whole kit's painted pretty much, and now we just wait. I could either later today, I could probably install it since I started really early this morning. In about 8 hours is usually how much time it takes for the clear coat to dry to the touch, and then it takes like a week to cure, but we can install it after the 8 hours. So hopefully later on today. Might take a little bit longer just because it's cold out right now, but I'm excited to see the car with the kit on, and then this car will be finally done. So we got the body kit fully installed all the way around the car, and it is looking great. Look at that. Just waiting on the owner to get his, I guess his taxes are coming in, and then the car will be ready to be picked up. Or it is ready to be picked up, but he'll come pick it up. So for now, the car's just gonna be here a little bit longer. It's been down since July, so it's been well over 6 months. 7-8 months now, I guess, and it finally looks like a car again. It looks great. Showed pictures to the customer. He loves it. We have the temp wheels on there just so he doesn't have like stockies, or steelies, the stock what's it called, those little skinny tires. Like, I don't know why the name's not coming up right now, but that would have been what he was riding on before, because the two of the wheels that were up there are broken. So figured this would be a little bit better so he can drive while he saves up to get some wheels for the Rocket Bunny kit. And yeah, the little TRD side skirts are looking really good with it as well. The car is finally going to be leaving. Joey got some money in, paid it off. He's here to pick it up. The car is looking amazing. It's actually on right now, and he's super excited. He's kind of speechless. There he goes, but let's see him off. Out of here. Yeah, like that. And there we go. So that's it for the video, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed this rebuild of this car, and Joey's super excited that he got his car back. He's speechless to the point where he doesn't even remember how to drive the car. You know, the car's been out since July. We are in March already, 2022. So the car's been out for a long time, and the car's just been with me for like 3 months. And for him to finally come pick it up and get to drive it again after so long, you know, it's his baby. It's a cool feeling. So hopefully everything goes well with him, and he finishes it up, cleaning it up, and then he can enjoy it, once he gets everything done. It just has like little things that need to be done, like an ABS sensor, a wheel stud, just little things like that, and then like a nice detail, and then he can start going out to the meets again to show it off. So as always, hope you guys enjoyed the video. You have a great day.